Hey Fractalites, I'm Brock. Welcome to the Art of ReAmping, a series I co-developed with the abundant and generous help of Matt. Yes, the Matt. In this 4-part video series, we're going to cover everything you need to know about reamping with your axe effects. In the first video, we'll learn what reamping is and give you a demonstration of why it's one of the most efficient ways to record guitar and bass. The second half of the video is a thorough walkthrough of how to get your rig set up and reamp ready. In the second video of the series, we're going to jump right in and start reamping. I'll show you how to set up the inputs and outputs in your DAW, that's Digital Audio Workstation, and then we'll go through the exact process of reamping step by step. In the third video, we'll talk about why your bedroom tone might not be the tone you want to use for tracking in the studio or when you're playing live. And in the final video, we'll cover how much you can actually do with reamping, and I'll show you some creative applications of it. So without further ado, let's jump right in. What exactly is reamping? Simply put, it's the process of taking a recorded dry guitar signal, that's right, that goofy thin sound we all hate being reduced to, and running it into an amplifier. It's called reamping because that same signal can be run into any amp or effects unit. And with the axe effects, it's like being able to plug into a virtual guitar center. Yeah, minus that irritating dude that wants to make sure everybody in the place knows that he can shred, or at least thinks he can.
Hey, wanker, shut up!
Let me give you an example. Here's a pre-recorded guitar track being played into the superverb. And here's that same track being played into channel 1 of an AFS 100. Both sound great, but really different. Which one's best? Only the mix will tell. Now, imagine being able to make that decision within the context of the mix. Simple, right? So what makes it a revolutionary way of recording guitar? Well, let me ask you a few questions. Have you ever recorded a track and wished you hadn't used so much distortion? Or perhaps your tone was fat on its own, but muddy in the mix? And then there's the effects. Too much reverb, delay out of sync with the song, not enough chorus, etc. In this example, you'll hear all these things. Keep in mind, the same dry tracks were used for the various parts. The difference is the processing that was applied. Prior to reamping, these mistakes would have ended up in either settling for tones that compromise the overall mix or costing you time in having to retrack the parts. Either way, it's a bummer. With reamping, issues like these are fixable. No more compromised mixes and no more having to retrack parts. Reamping gives you total control and flexibility throughout the tracking and mixing processes. There's no commitment to any aspect of your tone or effects. Common uses include choosing the amp that works best in the mix, dialing in just the right amount of gain, achieving the ideal balance between dry amp tones and effects within the context of a mix. Also, punching in and out is seamless and perfectly accurate every time. And finally, editing in your DAW, such as audio or pitch quantization, is also seamless. Having this level of flexibility makes the whole process less stressful and a lot more fun. In the next video, I'll show you exactly how to do it. But first, we need to make sure you have everything set up correctly. Let's start out by making sure we have the most up-to-date files. We'll start by going to fractalaudio.com, click on Support, and go to the section labeled Download Drivers. Select your OS, download, and install. Next, let's update your unit to the latest firmware. To do that, we need FractalBot. So from the Fractal page, we're going to select Products, then go to FractalBot, and again, choose your OS, download, and install. The firmware is on the Support page. Be sure to download the firmware for the type of unit you own, either the XL or the 2. I have the 2, so you're going to see me download that. Finally, we also want to grab Axe Edit, which is also on the Products page. Select your OS, download, and install. Now that we have the latest files installed, it's time to update the unit's firmware. Before we do this, the Axe Effects needs to be connected to your computer. This requires a USB Type A to Type B cable. Fractal recommends BTPA's cables. While indeed any USB Type A to Type B cable will likely work, some users have resolved connectivity issues by switching to higher quality cables, like those from btpa.com. Since we're fiddling around with the wires, let's also hook up the other cables we need to reamp. First, we're going to run the left and right from output 1 and the left channel from output 2 to available inputs on your sound card. This allows us to track both the wet and dry signals from the Axe Effects when tracking at sample rates other than 48K. Important note, make sure your sound card is set to recognize those channels as line level, as opposed to mic or instrument levels. We're also going to run a 1/4-inch cable from the left mono input 1 on the back to an available output of your sound card. I'm using output 3 of my sound card. This is how you will send the dry tar track playback from your DAW back into the Axe Effects for reamping. With your unit connected, launch FractalBot. From here, select the device. I have an Axe Effects 2. Then click Browse and locate the decompressed firmware folder and select the .syx file. Then click Begin. This process takes just under 2 minutes. Thanks to the power of video editing, we'll go ahead and pretend that 2 minutes elapsed. After that, your unit will finish processing the update, which takes around another 20 seconds. Finally, power the unit down for at least 5 seconds, then turn it back on and you're ready to go. At this point, we've covered what reamping is and why it's an ideal way to record. More, your software is all up to date, your unit is fully connected to your computer and sound card. Now it's time to start reamping. That's exactly what we're going to cover in the next video. You'll see the whole process broken down and explained in a way that's easy to understand. The remainder of this video series is freely available at imaginationdna.com/fractal. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.